today we have the federal laws and federal courts operating in the whole UAE, and we have the DIFC courts. So choosing of that particular jurisdiction of the DIFC, what exactly the greater impact that it has for not only for the FDI and so forth, but for the rule of law itself and the implementation of the reward into that, while the whole country is based on totally different laws and regulations?
Yeah, so maybe perhaps I can start with the jurisdiction of the DIFC courts and how the DIFC courts have jurisdiction. So what is colloquially known as the Judicial Authority Law, which is basically Dubai Law 12 of 2004, gives the DIFC jurisdiction. Now, the DIFC court's jurisdiction is set out in Article 5A1 of the Judicial Authority Law, and that is specifically in relation to instances where the court will have exclusive jurisdiction. So that would be instances, for example, where one of the parties to the dispute is a DIFC entity or establishment. Another example would be if perhaps maybe the contract was concluded or negotiated within the DIFC. And then when it comes to 5A2, that's the opt-in provision. And that in 5A2, the parties can opt into the jurisdiction of the DIFC courts, even though they don't fall into the exclusive jurisdiction gateways. So that's essentially how the court operates from a jurisdictional point of view. And what's encouraging specifically about 5A2 is that even if you're based outside the DIFC, subject to, like you say, federal laws of the UAE, parties can still agree for the DIFC courts to resolve their disputes if they opt into the jurisdiction of the DIFC court. So I think that's also quite an attractive option. You know, if you only, for example, want the court to deal with your disputes, but you want UAE federal law to govern the contract or your business relationship, for example.
Okay. So if I may stop on that area, if that particular contract was negotiated within the DIFC as a jurisdiction, it become a DIFC court jurisdiction de facto unless agreed otherwise.
Exactly.
Am I correct? So let's say that particular meeting or that particular area of negotiation really started in DIFC, but neither of the parties were DIFC entities. So what exactly is the judgment of that?
Yeah, so the first point that you would look at is 5A1 of the Judicial Authority Law, and that would give the DIFC courts exclusive jurisdiction, even if a portion of that contract was negotiated in the DIFC. So that's quite an interesting point. However, I must qualify that by saying that if the parties in their contract, or for example, in that contract that you speak about, have agreed to resolve their disputes by some other court, then the DIFC courts wouldn't have jurisdiction in that context, because the courts have been shown to apply what they call opt-out provisions as well. So even though, like I say, on the one hand, they could have exclusive jurisdiction, if the parties have agreed for another court to have jurisdiction, the court would apply that agreement as well. Yeah.
Nathan, thank you very much for all the information. See you again.
Great. Thank you so much.